Hey everyone, my name is Erica. I born and raised in New Haven, and I'm here to be honest. I as some people may know, I lost my mom 12 years ago. Unfortunately, in church, she was having a great time, and fortunately, she went to heaven that night in service, praising God. And it's absolutely a day I'll never forget in life. Of course, she was my best friend, uh, someone I can talk to about absolutely any and everything. Losing her when I did was pivotal to who I am today as a person. But I didn't realize that until very, very recently. Dealing with her passing has been an uphill battle that I didn't even know I was equipped to accomplish. But I definitely didn't do it alone. God was definitely there with me. But it's definitely been uphill. It's been hard. But I feel like I'm getting on the other side of what comes along with losing a parent. When I was younger, I used to wonder, what would make people want to take their lives and not be here any longer. After losing my mom, I totally understood. Absolutely understood. Never thought I would no longer want to be on this earth, but her not being here and the way she left, it was too much. It was unbearable, or what I felt was unbearable. And I just didn't want to hurt anymore. It's not that I wanted to go to heaven and be with my mom. It was that I just didn't want to hurt anymore. But I prayed. I prayed. There were times I couldn't pray, and I know I had people praying for me. And I went to therapy. I went to a therapist because I didn't want to go to my family because I know I would get the pats on the back and everything's going to be okay. You know your mother loved you. I knew all of that. But that wasn't helping my hurt. And as much as I loved it and I needed it, at the time it wasn't helping me. I became such an angry person. I was depressed. I was like very, very depressed. And what started getting me out of that sadness was speaking to a therapist. And of course, prayer. Being able to talk to someone who has no connection to me, didn't know me, had no preconceived notions about me, really helped me in getting off my chest what I was dealing with. And a lot of the times he didn't really have much to say. He provided suggestions on how to deal with things, but he just listened. And there's nothing like having a listening ear. And I have, taken his words and some of the suggestions that he has had for me, and I've held on to them and I've applied them to my everyday life. I'm not saying I have not had moments of sadness and everything, despite having therapy. It just helped me get through it because I realized in order to get through, you have to go through. And I had been going through it. Definitely been going through it, but I feel like I am once again getting on the other side of losing my best friend. I see her birthday everywhere I go. Randomly 10:22 will come up on the clock or something on television, and I'll just have a feeling like, I know she's in heaven with God, so she's not here with me, but her influence is here. And I miss her. I wonder what my life would be like if she was here. But this is the road that I'm on, getting to happiness, getting to who I am as a whole woman. Because there was a point in time I really felt broken. There was a point in time where my life was on pause. And now the pieces are coming back together, and I am enjoying who I am becoming, and I can't wait to see what the whole me is going to look like, because all the pieces are almost there, and I'm just enjoying this journey. And I pray that, someone understands that you're not alone in the things that you may be dealing with, and speaking to somebody about it, at least for me, was the best medicine. And just knowing that, I have a purpose, I have a reason to still be here, and I am enjoying learning what that is, and just resting in knowing, that there's more for me. And I had a great influencer. Before influencers became big, my mom was already an influencer, and I am influenced by her in my daily walk. And I just hope that I continue to make her proud. Some of the best moments with my mom. Well, okay, so this is probably gonna sound really corny, but there's a running joke with my parents when they got married. They made chicken in so many ways. Like, there's a book called 365 Ways to Make Chicken, because that's what my mother would cook all the time. And she taught me how to make her smothered fried chicken with rice and gravy and broccoli and some biscuits maybe. But we had the most fun doing that. And that was something that I couldn't get right when she passed. I was like, man, I cannot make this right. I cannot make this gravy right. This gravy is too light. It's not like my mother's. And then one day I made it. I thought it was burning, but I'm like, no, my mom said, keep it. Just keep doing it. It's going to be okay. Just have your water ready next to you. And I had it ready and I made it. I was like, oh my gosh, it's perfect. It's exactly like hers. And I know it's like, may not be a big deal for anybody, but it was just like, I remember us being in the kitchen and she teaching it to me and teaching me how to make it. And that's definitely a great memory that I had with her. Another great memory is when my parents took me to Spain. They took me to Spain, and I got a chance to go to Africa as well. And we were in this very, very small car on one of our tours. Very, very small car. It was my mom, my dad, and myself. And we were going up the Rock of Gibraltar. And the Rock of Gibraltar is one lane, literally one. It's a mountain going up in a circle. And we were amongst the monkeys there. It's the first time I saw the monkeys with the red butts. And my mother was screaming her head off. They weren't in the car with us. They were outside the car, but they were crawling all over it. My mother was losing it, and I was cracking up. To this day, that was in 1999. Yes, 1999. They took me to Spain, took me to Africa, and to this day, I remember her just screaming, like, get these monkeys away from me. But once we got to the top of the mountain and went inside, we were in a beautiful opera house. And singing is what me and my mom and my dad, we all have in common. That's where I get my voice from the both of them. Get my range from my dad, believe it or not. My mother was like a great alto. Her tone was dope. But going into this beautiful opera house, it was just the icing on the cake for us during that trip. There's one thing I do like my mom now. When I come home from work, I don't get out the car right away. I can sit in my car and not even on the phones. My mom, she didn't have her, first of all, she didn't save anyone's name and phone number in her cell phone. It was whoever called her, that's who called her, and she would answer. I couldn't believe it. But that was back 12 years ago. Think about how far we've come with the cell phones. But she would just be in the car, sometimes just listening to music. And it was just like her time in between getting off work and coming home to her family. She carved out this time just for her. Sometimes we wouldn't even know she was home She could be home for like an hour, and I find myself doing the same thing unconsciously. I have no idea why. I can just walk right in my house, it's just me and my dog. But it's something about sitting in your car, comfort of sitting in your car with that heat on, listening to music, or just you're with yourself and your thoughts. And you get a lot done in your mind during that time. So that is one trait that I've picked up from my mom. And my mom, she was just great. Like, of course, I'm gonna be her biggest fan. Her voice was wonderful, and she is a great planner. She's an absolute great planner, which, I call it the bug of planning. I'm a certified wedding and event planner, and there I find myself, there are just things that I do that just remind me of her. I have hands like my mother. Especially the older I get, I look at my hands, I'm like, man, they look just like hers. I am singing and really stepping out on my own, from the background of being a background singer. And I was in a session singing and doing my ad libs, and I listened back to it. I'm like, man, I sound just like my mother. So she definitely influenced me. And like I said, I just want to continue to make her proud. And just, I'm working to get to where she is. I know I'm going to see her again. And, I miss her. That's my homegirl. Oh, one other thing about my mom. So my mom, as my dad would say, the only thing my mom would really, really spend money on is her hair and her lunch. She did not like leftovers at all. And she would pay money. She put that in the budget to go out to her restaurants, especially during lunchtime, and buy her lunch. And her hair had to be done. It had to be right, especially because it was short and she had perm. It was going to be done if nothing else was done. And she taught me that, your hair has to be done. You got to be finished from top to bottom. My mom was a very influential woman amongst other women here in Connecticut. And I said she was an influencer before influencers became popular, because she had her yearly women's retreat called the Christian Women's League. And not being partial, but some things I see, other how other retreats are planned and handled and put out. My mom, she was doing that already. Some of these great female preachers that I see now, my mom actually brought them here to Connecticut. And I'm just watching, I'm just like, man, she did all that. Like, she was before her time, and I saw how it impacted women, and their daily walks with God, with their significant others, all of it, because she made sure that the retreat just wasn't just about church, but it was about being a whole person. So she would talk about, health issues, you know what I mean? Heart disease, diabetes. She would do scholarships for education. And she was just a very influential person. And she definitely left a stamp on not just me, not just my sister, but countless other women that still contact me and tell me how much of an influence she was on them, even 12 years ago, before 12 years ago. She did the retreat for like 16 years. And so I believe it was groundbreaking, not just because it was my mom, but like, she set the blueprint. And I could be partial. I just know I was there when it started. She made me be next to her. She made me be in the meetings. She made me, even when I didn't want to, she made me be there. She made me be around. And it was the best thing for me, because it really has helped me later in life, not just in church, but in all of the everyday things that I do, in budgeting and being health conscious, all of it. It all started from her. And I'm just forever grateful. She's a great mom. She was definitely uh, a great um, wife to my dad, and definitely showed me how to be a wife, how to be a mom. And she didn't shy away that everything wasn't great all the time, but when it was great, it was great. And she showed me that in the times that it wasn't great, how to work through it. And I carry those memories and those lessons with me every single day. um and like I said, she was just great. She's great. And I miss her. I miss her every day. I will say, my mom and I, believe it or not, we argued a lot. We argued a lot when I was younger because I was just like her. We both have a lot of mouth. um, but she taught me, there are ways of handling situations differently without being, all out or whatever. Despite the fact that we would argue, she's my biggest encouragement. And I don't take that. I didn't take it for granted because I realized everyone doesn't have the opportunity to have that relationship. But there's nothing like your relationship with your mom at all. There's nothing like having a mother figure in your life. Because I will say, when my mom passed away, there were a lot of women who stepped up and filled in gaps that I needed when I needed a motherly hug or a motherly reprimand. I was glad that I had that. And it wasn't just my family. There were women that I worked with, and it really made me understand the value of a positive female influence in your life, a motherly influence. And I tell every child to value that as much as possible. Value the mother figure in your life. Everyone may not have their actual mother, but having a mother figure is second to none. There were times where I just went up to my mom and I just hugged her and started crying. I didn't know why, and there were times where I did know why, but I didn't need to say anything. She just knew, I just needed a hug from my mom. Words don't need to be said all the time. But as a mother, she knows me the best. She carried me, and I value that. And I'll tell anyone, you may be beefing with your mom. You may have had an argument. I'm telling you, if you can, fix it. Fix whatever the situation is. Come to an understanding and realize you only get one mother. You only get one mother figure, positive one in your life, and value it as much as you can. Because once they're gone, there's no coming back from it. All you have is the memories. And I still value those memories too. But it's nothing like having her there. So if you ever get in a situation like that where you and your mom not talking, you're arguing, whatever. Because listen, it happened between me and my mom. It definitely did. But I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt she loved me. And I wouldn't even take the arguments back. I wouldn't. I'll take her back. We'll argue, okay. But we'll get over it. Because that's just who she was to me. So value it. Value your relationship with your mother and fix whatever needs to be fixed and just make it right. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's definitely worth it.